Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
Hey, what's up, Blazer fans? Welcome to the Blazers Edge podcast, part of the Almighty Baller Radio Network. I am Tara Bowen Biggs, back home in Portland. Joining me, as always, is Blazers outsider Danny Meringue. And also on the line, it is my pleasure to welcome to the show, still in Las Vegas, NBC Sports Northwest's very own Jamie Hudson. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Tara. I feel like we switched spots. You had like the first part of the tournament, and now I'm down here for the second part.
Yeah, how's it going down there? Is it still like walking into a hairdryer?
It is still very much like that. But you know what? It's funny. It's been raining the last couple of days. Like there's been some flash floods. Was that happening when you were here?
Yeah, my hotel actually lost electricity. It was very exciting.
Oh, I know. It's been an adventure, that's for sure.
I hope things are going a little smoother for you, that's for sure. But we're happy to have you on so you can tell us your impressions of how Summer League has been going so far. Do you want to just start off by talking about some of the high points so far while you've been down there?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'd say as far as some of the big storylines is obviously this is a team that's undefeated and they kind of have that swagger about them. Like I know it's Summer League, but so you can't take too much from Summer League, yes. But it's
yes,
still
we
really
can.
fun.
We can take everything from it and we can live off of it for the whole rest of the year. I'm sure of this.
Right. Let's do that, Tara. But I think it's really cool to see the young players playing with this confidence and the fact that now they've made it to the semifinals. Obviously, you get more reps, which is what you need for your young guys, especially with the rookies, Anfernee Simons and Trent Jr. And it's cool to see Zach Collins have this mature I don't know what I want to say. He's matured into this player that you could tell kind of wants to lead on the floor. And so it's not just about the fact that he's put on some weight, which is what everyone's talking about, right? But the fact that he's got this confidence, and I think he's kind of enjoying being that second-year player here at Summer League and kind of showing the young guys the ropes. Those are some things that stood out to me so far.
We had a great question last week from someone who wanted to know what are some things that people might not notice from TV that you would notice about the games while you're there at them. Do you have any thoughts on that question?
Yeah, of course. Well, with the fact that the media seats are right on the baseline, you get to hear a lot of the trash talking, or you get to hear how players are interacting with each other on this Blazers team. And I noticed Caleb Swanigan is probably the most vocal guy right now. He is always trying to help out his teammates and making sure they know where they need to be, or he's one of those guys that's like, hey, if I mess this up, like I want you to talk to me. Like, he's been a big communicator. So that's been nice to see out of Caleb Swanigan, because I know this Summer League has kind of been a struggle for him. He's been really turnover prone. I think he's averaging a little over 4 turnovers per game, and that's not what you want to see out of your big guy in Summer League, especially a guy that's returning to Summer League. But the fact that he is so vocal, I think that's been nice to see. He's like kind of like the coach on the floor.
Jamie, how have we gotten this far? Hold on. How have we gotten this far? 4 minutes into this podcast, and we have not mentioned Wade Baldwin one time. How?
What? Have we failed then?
How?
Because we're waiting he's like, we're building up to
No,
it.
give me more Wade right now. I want it now.
I know. Doesn't everyone do? No, that's so true. Because Wade Baldwin has been so impressive. This is a guy who he has these crazy moves. Like in the stands, fans from all over, not just Blazer fans. They are all doing the ooh and ah over some of his finishes. I mean, he can drive to the hoop and finish like the best of them. So yeah, Wade Baldwin has been probably the biggest storyline, right? He's a guy that can defend, and then there's the whole thing of will he or won't he be a Blazer with that July 18th deadline pretty close. It's coming up here if he's going to get a guaranteed contract. How do you guys feel about that? Because I'm feeling after this summer league, he's going to stick around in Portland.
You can throw, in my opinion, everything out the window as far as financial ramifications and all that kind of stuff as far as Wade Baldwin is concerned going forward. If it's going to cost them, let's say, for instance, they go through the entire season without dumping any salary, and they end up paying in the luxury tax and end up costing, $3.5 million or $4 million overall for Wade Baldwin. I don't think the Blazers can get away with not picking him up and playing him from a optics perspective. Like a guy this good, the Blazers are just going to let go because of a few $1 million. And on top of that, the fact that they want to have control on this guy. Like, you want to be able to maintain control over his career if he is going to be a valuable guy going forward. And I think the Blazers will find a way to make it work. And he's, production-wise, has been, if not the best player in the entire Summer League, a top 3 player in the entirety of the Summer League this year. And I think that's something, while, again, the mantra of Summer League doesn't matter, when you show out like this in the sense that he's doing it by doing the things that everybody questioned, his ability to shoot, his ability to play make, his ability to run the offense. Well, he's shooting, he's playmaking, and he's running the offense. So by that virtue alone, I think he's guaranteed the guarantee, in my opinion. Where are you sitting now, Tara?
Danny, I love your optimism on this one. I want you to be right so bad, but I just have this feeling in my gut that whatever we expect we think is so obvious is going to happen. I'm so worried that that's not what's going to happen. To me, he looks like a wonderful fit. He looks mature. He looks fully capable of taking on anything that Portland might need to be done. But there's so many guards right now that are on the roster, and there were just some things there was an interview with Olshey during the game tonight. I'm not sure if you saw it, Jamie, because it was running simultaneously with the game. But one of the things he said is it's important for our young guys to see just how fragile your place in this league is, or you'll end up back here looking for a job. And I was just and that was right after talking about, guaranteeing contracts, but he never came out and said, it was like he brought up Baldwin, but then he backed away from it. And I'm just being super pessimistic about this because I don't want to get my hopes crushed, because I love him. And his giant long arms are just like a thing of beauty, the way he can just reach around somebody and poke that ball away. And his hands are really big. And I was just, I don't know, I
embrace the pessimism, Tara. Come to the dark side. Come to the dark side.
Well, embrace the optimism, Dan. I'm glad that you could enjoy a little bit of that too.
Hey, like I said on Twitter earlier, anybody who can make James Harden wilt and completely disappear from a game is going to be somebody that I love. And Wade Baldwin has done that, so he has earned my love in my book.
Yes. I love him very much too, and I hope it all works out for him, and I hope we find out sooner rather than later. I don't want to wait on this.
Well, we won't have to wait. It's the 19th, so I mean it's gonna be there quick.
Yeah. Well, another player that when I was in the stands, a lot of people were talking about was Gary Trent. You mentioned him briefly before. And one of the things that I've heard about Gary Trent is, he's really super personable and easy to talk to. I'm wondering, have you had a chance to talk to Baldwin at any point and given him any interviews and found out what he's like?
Baldwin or Gary Trent? Gary Trent?
Baldwin, because I've heard a lot of really good things about Trent. I was just wondering if how things are with Baldwin.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny because we talked to him after the win against the Spurs. So that was right at the end of pool play. And Wade said he remembers how, I think it was the quarterfinals last year, maybe it was the semifinals, but he was playing for Memphis Summer League last season. And he remembers running into this Blazers team. And he thought, oh, man, this is a good team. So now he kind of joked hey, I'm glad I'm on this Portland team this year, and we want to get this team back to the championship. And his goal, he said, was to win MVP of this tournament, which, I mean, with his play right now, you guys, that's a possibility if the Blazers do, in fact, win this whole thing. But I like that Wade's, he's taking this seriously instead of being like, oh, it's just Summer League. So that's nice to see. And, I mean, he always uses the quote these days, full throttle. That is how he wants to play. And I think Blazer fans are loving this full throttle play from him. He's talking the big game, but he's backing it up too.
That's awesome. Don't the Blazers play Memphis next? Are they who's next up?
Mm-hmm. They do.
Oh, well, there we go. It's going to be the Wade Baldwin revenge game.
There you go. I like it.
Oh, that'll be exciting. And are you going to be there through as long as the Blazers are playing?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
so
cool.
They keep winning, I'll stick around.
Hopefully you'll get MV Media, most valuable media member for the championship game. That would be awesome. What are some other stuff, any other things that are kind of tangentially related to the team that you've been up to while you are in Vegas?
Well, it's
that
cool,
you can talk about?
Right. Well, don't worry. I have gambled a little, but I'm up. I'm up on my winnings. Like this is exciting because I've been in Vegas for a week now, you guys. So
you heard it here, folks. She was up when she talked to us.
Yeah. I guess we still have a few days, so we'll see how it goes, right?
Nice.
But no, it's been fun because obviously there's been players in and out watching this team. I know Damian Lillard was here earlier and Myers Leonard when it was pool play. But then CJ McCollum was just here, not tonight, but the game before. And I got a chance to talk to CJ after the game. And you could tell he's really high on Anfernee Simons. He talked about how Simons is a patient player, which is something you need to think about when you're a young kid. I mean, you think a lot of young players, especially a guy like Simons, who's coming from IMG Academy versus, Louisville or whatever, you could get into this summer league situation and think, oh, crap, and get real frantic and freak out a little. But CJ McCollum made a good point. Simons has been really patient and letting the game come to him, which is nice. And it's cool when other players like CJ and Dame are here. So I know they go up and talk to the rookies after the game and kind of give them some advice. So I think that's been fun to see. Aside from just covering the Summer League team, it's cool to see that other players are here as well.
Did you see that CJ had a shoe come out?
Yes, I was actually there at the Shoe Palace in Hollywood. It was super cool.
Did you get a pair?
My feet are. I wear a size 6, and they were not. I need like a kid size, so no. Unfortunately, I didn't get a pair, but we're gonna work on that. But what I really like, so these are Vegas edition shoes of CJ's shoe line right now. But I asked him like, what's in store for your shoe line, and he said that they're gonna work on like a Rose City theme for Portland.
Ooh,
so I think Blazer fans will be really excited.
See now he needs to be careful with that because Damian Lillard did the same thing with his Dame 2s, and Dane Carpaw and I are still out here wondering where our Rose City edition Dame 2s are because we never got a pair. Yeah, there was a limited release, and then they were going to bring more out, and then they never came back out, and I'm still, yes, I'm petty, and yes, I hold that against Dame and his shoes.
That's right. Okay, well, we'll have to keep on CJ about these Rose City themed shoes.
Dan, what else do you have to ask Jamie about?
Well, being that you're a Gonzaga alum, I think you're probably the person to go to here. And since you did profile Zach Collins last year, what do you think are the biggest changes from your perspective for Zach on the floor, the basketball-wise stuff? Like you've already touched on, like the intangibles, like the leadership, the desire to be out there, and then kind of trying to put the best foot forward and lead by example. But basketball-wise, when you're watching him, what specifically looks different for him?
He's not backing down anymore. You can tell from a standpoint of his size that he's so much stronger. I mean, there was a jump ball tonight against the Celtics, and you knew there was no way he was letting go of that after he grabbed the rebound. It's interesting to see because in the summer league so far, Zach hasn't really faced anybody much bigger than him. I know Memphis, though, has a big kid, so tomorrow's matchup against Memphis is going to be interesting with Zach going up against a bigger guy, but his ability to defend now, I mean, at Gonzaga, he would block shots, but it's in the West Coast Conference, so that was a little easier for him now. But now you can tell that's kind of more of his focus, especially when his offense isn't clicking, which it hasn't been, and he even talked about that after tonight's game, that he's kind of been frustrated with his offense. So he's been focusing on his defense because that's what he can control. When you work, you got to bust your ass, and then you can play defense pretty well. But he's able to not get back down when he's down low and he's blocking shots. And I mean, he's been fun to watch on the defensive end this summer league, that's for sure.
Personality wise, have you seen the maturation and the growth kind of for him between last year and this year?
Oh, definitely. It's funny. He's kind of more of this quiet guy, and now he's taking on that role of second-year player in summer league, and he's almost like has that, hey, I got NBA minutes as a rookie, so I'm here now, like, to show you just why I did get those minutes on a playoff team last year. He's got that confidence, and I think his mentality is use this summer league to kind of show people, but also just show himself that he's got this, and that he should have a bigger role next season with the Blazers. And I think that getting all these reps is really helping him, not only on the court, but just his mentality going into next season.
That's awesome to hear that, I mean, we expect these guys are going to make progress, and it's awesome to see it. And that mask is really, it's amazing how much it like hides really what his reactions and stuff. I mean, you really can't see how he looks, and unless you're up close or unless he takes it off to see like the intensity of his eyes. We're running out of time with you, but I wanted to ask about one more player. We don't know a lot about Anfernee Simons because, we didn't get to watch him play in college. Have you had much of a chance to talk with him, and what can you tell us about what you've learned about him?
Yeah, I talked to him after last game when he had 20 points, which was nice to see because I know fans were thinking, why is Simons not scoring as much? Because that's what a lot of fans know about him, is that he can score the ball. But talking to him after the game last time, he was talking about how his focus is making sure he knows where he should be on the defensive end. And in fact, Summer League head coach Jim Moran was discussing that focusing on defense right now for Simons, it's a defensive scheme or whatever, is the big focus right now, because they already know that he's got the offense down. Like, he can come off screens, Moran was saying, and he'll be open to knock it down in the corner for three. So the defense is what they're really trying to hammer in right now in Summer League. But even talking with Simons from day one, when he had the press conference, like, okay, introducing Anfernee Simons, to just a couple days ago talking to him, he is now giving you longer answers. So he's kind of becoming more familiar with the media and realizing, okay, like, it's cool, I can chat with them, because I know he's pretty quiet and kind of a shy guy. So the fact that he's kind of opening up a little bit has been a difference as far as just from a media standpoint. So that's nice. We get to talk to him a little bit more. We get more info out of him, longer answers, which is always good for when you're like on this side, when I'm trying to get questions answered. So that's been nice.
I bet you're trying to not ask the yes or no questions, but then you still get really short answers.
Yeah. But he's come around real quickly, which is nice.
That's great. He's a quick study. That's great to hear. And I think one of the things about him is you look at him and he looks so much younger than he actually is, that you sort of get in my experience, like, you know, he looks like he's, 15 or something like that. But when you realize that he's 19 years old, he's the same age as a lot of the other guys down there. You just have to kind of get past his baby face.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you're really busy. You are putting out lots of really great stuff from Vegas, so we will let you go. But before we do you want to tell people what you've been working on or what they can watch for?
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm really excited that I'm on this podcast. But lately, let's see, I've been writing various stories from down here in Vegas. My latest story is up on the website, NBCSportsNorthwest.com. And it's all about Zach Collins and how Summer League head coach Jim Moran has said it's pretty much the gun show right now with Collins. And it's pretty funny, Moran joking, but it's also talking about how hard Zach has been working this offseason. So that story is up on our website. And I'll be covering this Blazers team and until the very end down here in Vegas. So check out the website, check out our Twitter, and that's all from me, I think.
That's all you've got to plug?
Yeah. Oh, and also, okay.
I'm sitting here, my abs are killing me.
So that's awesome. Tara, thank you for doing my abs workout video that I've been working on with my sister. So I'm doing this little side project. It's like a fitness workout video / fitness advice and everything. It's called Fit Looks Different. You guys can check it out on YouTube. And we have all the social media handles as well. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And my sister is such an inspiration. So she's really the one that is like doing so well. She's crushing it. She's been a rock star. And so, yeah, we're just doing these workout videos, and I love that you did the abs workout. Tara, thank you.
Well, I had to. Knowing that you were coming on, I was like, okay, I got to do this for Jamie. And it's very hard, but you and your sister are so charming, and you talk all the way through it, so it doesn't, I'm not going to say I did the whole 60 seconds every time because those were hellacious, but I will work up to them. And having you and your sister there, it's fun. It makes it. Okay, that was awesome talking to Jamie. She has some great insights about some of the things that she's been doing and how the guys are responding to interacting with the media. It's really encouraging to, hear that like guys like Simons are getting more comfortable. My biggest question after the summer league so far is trying to figure out who's going to get minutes and how are they going to get minutes? Like, how will they work in to the team? So I guess we were talking about Simons last. And so I guess for you, do you think that Simons is going to play much this year?
Coming into this summer league, I thought I would have put that at like a near 0% chance. But in watching him and talking to guys who are in the league, kind of confirming my own thoughts, beliefs, suspicions, analysis on Simons, he has one NBA-ready, no-doubt skill, and that's the ability to shoot and get his shot off. Lightning quick release. He's got the ability to create the space necessary to get that shot off, and he doesn't lack the confidence necessary to be a scorer. It seems like every time you look up at the end of the game, you're like, how the hell did he get 15? How did he get 20? Like, you just look up, and all of a sudden, he's got that. Like, he makes it look very, very effortless, and they're not really running a ton of action for him where he's the primary guy. And I think that goes to show that he's got some serious scoring chops. Guys who can really score the ball, that's how they make it look. There's a difference between that and like a summer league MVP, like a Josh Selby, who's just jacking up shot after shot after shot. The entire offense is going through him all night long. Like, he's just doing it in the flow of the offense. And I'm not saying that he's going to be the end-all, be-all, but I really think that there will be times throughout the season where he could get on the floor, whether it's garbage time or whether there's foul trouble or there's injury. Like, I think the Blazers come a couple months into the season will feel comfortable turning the reins over to him and letting him kind of do some things out there. Well, Terry Stotts' history with rookies has not been one that's been like great in the sense of guys getting on the floor. Collins showed that, last year, if you do what they want you to do and deliver in the respective areas they want you to deliver, then there's a chance for you to be out there. When we look at this roster right now, Tara, the only guys who are really set as far as guys who will no doubt get minutes: Dame, CJ, Aminu, Nurkic. And I think you could probably slide Collins in there for 18 to 20 as things sit right minutes. Now. Yeah, but I mean, beyond that, the small forward position is wide open. I still believe. As great as Harkless played in that stretch, I don't think he's got a lock on that until he locks it down for an entire season. I think that he played great down the stretch of the last 20 games of the season. There were still another 62 where, he wasn't. So, and that's the same thing that we saw last year coming into the season. He played well in the stretch before the season ended last year, came in and then disappeared again. So that roller coaster is there. The guard position is a little bit different between Dame and CJ, but I think there are some minutes to be had there, especially when you've got the guys that are backing up right now are Seth Curry and probably Wade Baldwin. Seth's coming off injury, and Wade, like as high as I am on him right now, is the shooting for real. Like if it's not for real, then you're gonna see Simons, I think, at some point in time, sooner rather than later.
Well, I mean, one of the things that they clearly went out and did during the off season was go out and get guys who are known for being able to shoot 3-pointers. So they're trying to get people out there who can spread the floor, right? So, I mean, that's what Seth Curry is going to be, and that's what Stauskas, I think, is supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, yes.
Yeah, well, it's going to be.
That's the right.
Sorry.
No, supposed to be is the right thought there, because it needs to be able to translate.
Yeah, well, so I've spent since I've been back from Vegas, I've been trying to figure out like what my feel for this upcoming season is going to be, which doing it right after a summer league is not always the greatest idea, but I've come up with my mantra for the next season anyway, and I think you're going to find that you can relate to it. My mantra for the year is going to be high hopes, reasonable expectations. Like, I think it's totally fine to have high hopes for these guys. And I think it's also something that we need to keep in mind is to have reasonable expectations. I believe that's something that you've been preaching all along. I would just like to add my high hopes to it, because I think it's also okay to think that, wow, the best thing appears to be happening. Let's ride it out as long as we can. So with Anfernee, it sounds like you might see that he seems more ready than you were expecting. Is that in the
sense of how he operates on the court? Like I'd watched plenty of tape on him and seen his jump shot and seen his release, but it's hard to compare.
Seen him do it in the
against high schoolers. Action. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compare like how effective and efficient that stuff really is against guys that aren't 6'8" or 6'7" or supreme athletes or understand defensive schemes or how to take things away. Closeouts, things of that nature, or guys that are just more physically physically built. So for him, like the more I've watched, and it's not about, this guy's going to be the best shooter ever. I can just see that he's not going to have trouble getting his shot off, and he has the ability to create the space necessary to get that shot off, which to me is impressive for a guy that young.
So high hopes for him would be that he comes in and is productive in limited minutes.
Yes.
Productive enough that the other team goes, oh, hey, there's a guy we got to guard. That would be like the best. That would be a really good case scenario.
Yeah, hey, there's a fifth guy out here.
What?
Like when he's out on the floor, they have to go, oh, hey, look, there's a fifth guy out here. Like they can't play 4 and 5. Yeah. I would call that successful for a 19-year-old kid who didn't play college ball. Like anything beyond that, I'm going, okay, great, awesome, grand. And I think the next level up is your Gary Trent Jr. types, where Gary Trent Jr. can shoot. He demonstrated it in college. Mm-hmm. I think while he's dropped down a little bit here in the tournament or in summer league, like the dude can get his shot. He can get buckets. My question for him is will his defense be there to justify his time on the floor? Like with Simons, you're just trying to see what that rough palette kind of looks like, and you're trying to getting an idea of what that shot could be, how effective, how efficient. Gary Trent Jr. can shoot. He can't shoot, and it should be able to translate on NBA level. Now, what's the next step beyond that? Like, is he just a shooter, or is he a shooter who can create for himself a little bit and justify, his time on the floor by not being a net negative defensively?
So what are your high hopes, reasonable expectations for Gary Trent Jr.? So he continues to be a shooter, but also is able to shows the ability to create his own shot at the same time.
For me, I think it's more about like the high hopes.
Or is it defense?
No, it's defense, and it's this is going to sound like a shot because it is. It's what everybody expected Alan Crabb was going to be.
Okay.
And by that I mean actually playing defense. Like Crabb can knock down shots. I don't think anybody ever questioned that Alan Crabb could shoot the ball. He was phenomenal from that mid-range pull-up, and I see some Alan Crabb's his offensive game in Gary Trent. That pull-up mid-range game, struggles a little bit to get to the rim, but can get his shot off pretty much whenever he wants to, whether it's in traffic or coming off a curl or off the down pick or anything along those lines. But defensively, like, hope that he can be on the floor and be a plus defensively, not even just a wash. Like, hope that he figures that out, because physically, this is Gary Trent Sr.'s kid. Like, he's gonna put some lbs on. Like, there's no way he stays like a 19-year-old teenager. Like, he's going to fill out and get some thick with 2 Qs onto him. Like, that's going to happen. The genes are there.
He's not very big, and Gary Trent Sr. is big. I talked to him while I was in summer league, and
he's
that dude,
truck.
You're right, is quite built. I mean, he looks like he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
He looks like he could go out there and still play.
He looks like he came off the field
amazing.
for NFL minicamp. Like, he's in that good of shape. He is a monster.
Did I tell you about talking to him?
No, we didn't hear that one.
So I was sitting at the game against San Antonio, and I was talking to somebody next to me. I was going on and on about how much I loved Gary Trent Jr.'s shot. I was like, oh my God, I love the way he shoots the ball. It's so beautiful. I just want to, I hope he gets minutes so that we can see it, because it's just great. It's so smooth. And I was just going on and on and on, gushing all about him. And my friend, who's sitting a section over, texts me and says, hey, did you know you're sitting right in front of Gary Trent Sr.? And I was like, oh my God, I was so relieved that I hadn't been trash talking about him or something. I was so glad that I had been praising him up and down, because I had no idea that was him behind me.
The positivity paying off, huh?
Well, I could have been occasionally. I have, catty things to say, and I could have been on a roll. And although I didn't see anything to complain about with Gary Trent Jr., I guess I could have talked about not seeing much defense, but whatever. But no, I was saying nice things, and I was super glad, because when I turned around and saw him, he's 40 inches across, and his arms are I don't know how big a forearm is, but he basically looks like The Rock. And so
he's
so
a
glad
big
that I was saying
dude.
nice things. He would have just he could have just looked at me and glared at me and thrown me down the stairs that way. I was just anyway.
No, but I mean, as far as Trent's concerned, I don't expect him to be his dad physically, but I do expect that he will grow into his grown man bones. And
well, what kind of defense would you like? Would you expect someone in his position to be playing?
Honestly, I want to see some physical defense out of him, because he's not small to begin with. Like, he's already a pretty solid kid. Mm-hmm. And once he does grow into that kind of that grown man body, I think he'll be a physical, the ability to be a physical presence. I think he'll be not quite to the extent that like a Wes Matthews is, but along those lines, like the ability to push a guy around. And Portland hasn't had that really on the perimeter since Wes. So I would hope that.
Do you see him playing a lot of one-on-one?
I don't think he'll be an island defender. I think he'll be a scheme and team defender. Like his lateral movement, still, I haven't seen anything that blows me out of the water. But I haven't seen anything that when I watched him at Duke, I probably watched about 20 games of Duke tape on the various guys, and one of the ones that kept standing out to me was how bad he was laterally. And it seems like he has worked on that and changed that, whether it's changing angles or flipping his hips or just reading the offensive player better. And those are things that could all certainly help. But I want to see him be a physical defender, not racking up fouls, but be physical. Get into a guy when you can. Bump cutters, make a guy work extra hard for post position if you get caught in the switch. Just the little things. Because if he shows that willingness to work, he's got such a level of like a basketball acumen and basketball IQ that I think he'll figure out how to be a better defender in the long run. But he has to be willing to put in the work on that end.
Yeah. And he is guaranteed. His contract is
guaranteed
signed.
for 3 years.
Yeah, he did pretty well for a second round pick, as I recall. So, but to move on to Wade Baldwin, we've talked about him a bunch and about how his contract situation is at this point unresolved. Do you want to add anything about what you've seen out of him, or what your high hopes, reasonable expectations for him would be?
One, I want him to make the team. That goes without saying. I really liked him the way they closed out the season with him in the regular season last year, and then he got a few playoff minutes. But what I liked about him coming into this was his willingness and desire to work and want to be a defender. I think it's something that Portland has lacked, for the last couple
that
years.
Was fun to watch.
It is, and it's contagious. That kind of thing rubs off on people. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies built a foundation off of Tony Allen's desire to want to just put the clamps on you. Like, that is their franchise. Grit and grind is, when you think of Memphis Grizzlies, you don't think of Chandler Parsons or any of those guys. You think of Tony Allen. You think of Marc Gasol, you think of Mike Conley. That's what you think of. And that's all based on his desire. A dude who just plays defense. Mm-hmm. His desire alone shaped the image of a franchise. Like, that's the kind of thing, like, and I'm not saying I expect that or want that from Wade. I'm just saying that's how contagious that whole idea can be.
So my biggest question, though, with him is, how would he be utilized, as that defender? I mean, would he be in the second? I mean, where is he going to get these minutes? Because if he's not a shooter, he can't play with other guys who aren't shooters. Does he slide in just for, behind CJ? And I don't know, how do you see him? Who do you see him being paired up with?
They could go small. They could go really small with him at the 3 for short stretches of time. I think he's shown enough that he has to be out there.
Do you think he could start as the 3?
No, definitely not. He's just not big enough now.
Right.
You probably say it to his face.
So it would be kind of a 3-guard lineup situation.
Yeah. I could see him with the second unit being out there.
If Seth is hurt.
Yeah, even if Seth's not hurt.
If Seth is hitting his threes, because otherwise it's Evan Turner and Wade Baldwin in there together, and that's not a lot of shooting.
Well, here's the thing: is Wade shooting for real? I mean, if he goes into this camp and shows that, by camp I mean outside of summer league, into training camp, like if they pick him up and he goes into camp and really shows out and shows that his shooting is legit now, he has the other skill sets. Mm-hmm. Like, he has the ability to play defense on 1 through 2 and up to some threes. Like, there's no doubt in my mind there. The length and the versatility, the ability to get out in passing lanes, we've seen that. And I don't even think he has to show the offensive ability to run the offense as much as be a guy who just gets downhill offensively and then at the same time can also slide off ball and knock down a perimeter shot. Like, I think most of what allows him to make it and be on the floor, because the other things are there, is his jump shot. He has to be able to keep defenses honest. Otherwise, Portland just has another guy who's an inconsistent shooter. And I know that's a heck of a stretch for a guy who hasn't shown the ability to do it in the regular season at all yet. But I'm pretty confident in the kid, because the level he's playing at right now, and I get that it's different from summer league to regular season, but I like his nastiness. I like his competitive spirit, and I like the fact that he's kind of playing for his career, because he seems to just kind of look at everybody like they're taking money from him. Like, every slight, every little thing, like, he wants to punch somebody in the face, and I love that.
Yeah.
Well, they need that nasty.
He wasn't afraid of Grayson Allen.
Yeah, and he did it again tonight. Like, he got teed up again tonight. I mean, I like that about him. Like, get after somebody, man. I just something we've talked about on this podcast for a couple of years now, Tara. Give me some nasty.
Yeah. Right. No, I could see that. And so it sounds like, for me, or it sounds like what you're saying is, as long as he can prove that he's got some kind of a shot that is somewhat reliable, his defense really is going to get him a long way towards getting time on this team, whether we're not quite sure where. But if he has enough of a shot, he'll be playing. But developing that shot is the key.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think they'll just kind of roll him out there in instances where it makes sense. But I think in his case, his shot is just kind of, it is what it is at this point. It needs to show that it's NBA level and workable.
Or maybe he's always had it and he hasn't been in a scheme where he had a chance to roll it out. That's another thing,
It's a possibility. But I think that the Blazers guards, particularly, and the Summer League does highlights guards, but particularly the guards offensively, they've all shown things that I really like and I'm looking forward to, like something to look forward to as far as growth-wise next season.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see some of these guys develop. Plus, I loved he had a nice little dunk tonight. He said a couple of them.
Yeah, it's not a stretch of the imagination to say
at the bucket.
Yeah, Wade is the most athletic dude on this roster right now as far as explosion. Like he when he decides to hit that little hesitation or in and out dribble and then get down the middle of the paint and to the rim, he is shot out of a cannon. And his first step is just lightning fast. Nobody was ever questioning Wade's athleticism. That is for certain. I do want to touch on one thing though before we move on, as far as like what to expect for next season, and that's Collins, because Jamie kind of hinted at it, and Zach has alluded to it in some of his interviews. Then tonight he did as well. Collins' defense has looked good. His ability to read the floor and anticipate and be there to alter or block shots, it's something we talked about last week. All have looked very solid, very good. Offensively, though, the struggles
kind of big guys have really been struggling.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to get to is Swanigan as well. Swanigan is my guy. I like him. I love his story. He just hasn't shown the propensity or ability to finish over guys that are bigger than him. He has been turnover prone.
Did you love tonight's matchup with Yabusele?
Oh God, yes. I mean,
I bet you were. I was like, Dan loves this.
I love Yabu. Like legitimately, 2 years ago when he first showed up at Summer League, I just stood next to him and marveled at just the pure size of this kid. Like I think he was 18 or 19. There's a lot of
muscle between the two of those guys.
But like they're just it was like a Godzilla, versus Godzilla matchup, just belly to belly, just banging each other. And I was kind of hoping to see Yabu and Collins get matched up just to see how Collins held up against Yabu's strength. And while some people are going to talk about, well, he went up for that jump ball, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not talking about Collins going over Yabu lengthwise. Yabu's 6'7". He's built like a
actually move. Yabu
that's what I was more interested to see. Not how well he was with him vertically. Like Zach's gonna win that pretty regularly, folks. He's got like 6 inches on him. But offensively, Zach has struggled with his shot from the perimeter. Interior. He opened up the game today with a fantastic flash cut to the rim, and the slightest little touch forced him to miss it. Now, he got the offensive rebound and the putback, but... Yeah,
he got several second chance points tonight. He wasn't getting his first ones, but he was getting his second chance.
But I think that's part of the problem right there, is that as big as he is, as athletic as he is, and as much as people have talked about his soft touch and his ability to finish at the rim, those are first chance opportunities that he needs to be finishing if he's going to be this quote unquote back to the rim player, or Rasheed Wallace. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and leave that one alone for now. But defensively, I think Zach has been...
That's your high hopes, is that he's Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about reasonable expectations.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get Zach to where he's comfortable with a post move, like when he's got a matchup that makes sense. Like whether it's a drop step, whether it's a spin move, whether it's a face up, drag and drive, and over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder. I don't care. Whatever his preference is, let's just get him one move on the block if you're going to take him and make him this back to the basket guy.
Have you seen anything in terms of increased awareness for passing acumen from him yet? We have,
he can pass.
Seems like they've been moving the ball around pretty well.
Yeah. And these guys, they've got a pretty good relationship. And I'm talking just the team in general. Their ability to move the ball back and forth between each other and cut and work for each other has been readily apparent. I don't think Zach's a bad passer. Really, I don't think the Blazers have a bad passer among their bigs. I think Caleb's one of Swanigan's best attributes is his ability to pass. And what people sleep on with Myers Leonard is Myers is a great passer. Like Myers is a fantastic passer.
They call him Miles all night tonight.
Yeah, God.
On the
Come
broadcast.
on. Be better, guys. And Nurk can pass the ball. Like he has a little flashes of a little baby Sabonis in him every now and then. He likes to get a little flashy with some dump passes and some behind the backs and some little wraps. I like that. Zach has because he's tall and he's constantly working and moving into position. I think he finds himself in a position to see over the defense when the defense isn't set because of his movement. And that's where I think he's the best offensively is when he's on the move, as opposed to, any kind of isolation or straight post up or anything along those lines. Like his best opportunities have been on the move, on the catch, going towards the rim, whether that's facilitating off a quick dump off pass when the defense rotates or popping out high off, multiple actions. And then once the defense is reacting to the spacing, getting it to the open guy. We saw a couple. He hit the one off the baseline, the pass to the cutting John Jenkins tonight, which was a really, really nice play. I don't think Collins is, Bill Walton in the paint passing the ball, but I definitely don't think it's a skill that he lacks.
So I got one more person I want to talk about after Zach, but for Zach, we could say high hopes is that he's Rasheed Wallace. Reasonable expectations for him would be that he continues to show the ability to play defense. He continues and he masters one solid post move and maybe just increases his ability to score in some other way as well.
Yeah, give me something. If what you're going to believe is that Neil O'Shea...
I mean, we've already talked about he does bring defense.
Yeah, defensively, yeah. I for anybody who wants to talk about what Zach Collins brings, he brings defense. Like that's an unquestioned thing. But I think
see a little more offense.
Yeah, I think people pin a lot of hopes to this offense burgeoning out of nowhere, and it just hasn't been there. So give me something that's going to be like, okay, that's your foundation of what you're going to build upon. Whether that's a post move.
When Zach gets the ball right there, he's going to score.
Exactly. If it's that baseline jumper, that Chris Bosh did for years, the ability to step out and knock down a three. And yes, I just used an example of an all-star player when talking about Zach Collins. It's for reference, folks. I'm not calling him Chris Bosh. But give me something, whether it's a post move, a spot on the floor, or a consistency in a set jump shot on the pick and pop. Just give me something that goes, okay, here's where your baseline is, and this is where we can kind of go going forward. Because as of right now, the projections for him offensively are kind of all over the place because there's nothing to really base it off of. And I think you could say the same. Yeah, you could say the same thing for Caleb Swanigan. Like, what's going to be the thing that allows you to get on the floor? Because as a big man right now, with the way the rotation is, either Myers or Swanigan is going to play some minutes. Either that or they're going to end up going really small at times. So,
well, Swanigan's rebounding is what I'm assuming is going to get him on the floor, especially next to Zach. Because, if Zach is busy, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing that I keep saying. There's going to be a lot of people crashing into each other under the basket again.
Yeah.
I felt like last year that they had worked through that. Like last year, our tandems who were ever in the front court kind of had it all figured out. And from what I've seen at Summer League, there's going to be a lot of crashing into each other under the basket, going for rebounds again.
Yeah, your hopes and dreams as far as the clean movement underneath is that's probably gone.
Yeah. Well, one last player I wanted to talk about is Summer League Jake. What do you think Jake Layman's role could be on the team next season?
So if Summer League Jake is real, Mo Harkless is going to have his minutes significantly reduced because the way Jake Layman plays offense, I think, plays exactly into Terry Stotts' hands. a guy that wants to cut, a guy that willingly wants to take shots, whether they be from the corner or coming off a curl, a guy who's comfortable being out there and not having the entire world revolve around him. But when the ball does come his way and it's drawn up for him, he's ready, he takes the shot, and he makes it. Like, if Harkless can do that, Harkless will have a great year. That's what we've been saying for so long, is that position is so prime for anybody who is willing to do anything with consistency on the offensive end, that it's like, come on, guys, just make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, without he no longer has Pat Connaughton playing those minutes, as far as we know. So, that opens up, Pat was getting minutes. So I'm assuming that Jake is going to get the floor. But so what you're saying is that for your high hopes for him is that he could be as good during the regular season as he's been during Summer League and actually end up taking minutes away from Mo Harkless because he's so effective.
Yeah, if he's a 40% 3-point shooter, he's going to get minutes. Like, that's just the reality of it. And he's actually tall enough and long enough to where he could play some stretch four. Like, that's where you could see things going. And I think that's probably why the Blazers guaranteed his contract, is they're not entirely sure what they want to do at that 4 position coming off the bench. And they may tinker with the idea of Jake Layman at the 4 at times.
Yeah. Well, they've been not that Summer League is any indication, but they've been playing they've been having center Jake Layman a couple of times on there.
Like, I think that's what we're going to name this
Jake
podcast.
Layman's the tallest guy on the
Summer
floor
League
right
is
now.
not any indication.
But in terms of being able to go small, especially if they have more consistent shooters this year, I guess that's a possibility.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Well, I think we should wrap it up. And unless you have anybody else that you want to, any other observations you want to make about Summer League, things that you've seen?
Mo Bamba is great. Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be really fun to watch in the matchup with the Blazers tomorrow. Zaire Smith is really fun. There's some guys in this class that I really, really, really enjoy.
They're kind of a low-key fun draft class.
Yeah, no. Everybody's like, oh, it's a bunch of bigs. They'll be boring. And I'm just out here like, but big guys are the best. I know I'm in the minority.
Yeah, it was like
there
was so much focus on last year's draft class that this year's class just kind of slipped in, and it's kind of like, oh, there's some guys in this group that are pretty interesting and have some real good potential.
Yeah, it's something fun. That's for sure. What the heck else? There was somebody else in there that I can't remember what I was talking about the other day. But yeah, I'll just revert back to my standard line of come join me on Mo Bamba Island because it's really fun. Other than that, yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like Wade Baldwin Island is a place that you're thinking about occupying as well.
No.
Only you're not going to be alone.
That's the thing is
Portland fans are going to come join you.
I actually planted the flag when the lava was rising under the water on Bamba Island 2 years ago. So I'm the original investor in Bamba stock.
Yes.
So
you can enjoy him from afar.
He's my non-Blazer guy that I'm obviously really interested in. He's my Donovan Mitchell this year. So
does that mean that we can move on from Donovan Mitchell?
We can never move on from Donovan Mitchell. That's never going to be a thing. But yeah, no, I am genuinely happy with where these Summer League guys are sitting for the most part, and pleasantly surprised with a lot of the revelations that I've seen for the things that I'm watching for, at least. Particularly with Simons, his ability to shoot. Like, when you pick somebody in the first round who doesn't really have a long track record and you're just looking for something, and that one something is like, ooh, shiny, that's nice. Like, that's kind of how I feel with Simons. Like, there's a skill set there where I can go, yeah, no, that's a bankable skill set. That's something I can get behind. Let's see what happens to it in a couple of years.
This warms my heart so much. You said happy, and you said some other good, positive words. I think we need to just end it right here, and we need to stop on a high note because we're going to go out and we're going to just think good things for the next week, and the Blazers are going to go to the championship, and it's going to be amazing.
Oh, yep.
Summer League.
Yeah, we will have we'll roll out the 2018 Blazers Summer League Championship flags and banners.
We'll get our banners.
Yep.
We'll get our banners. We'll get our T-shirts made. Well, Blazer 5 gamers didn't do it this weekend. I don't want to talk about that. I'm so mad about that.
Yeah, you built the hype up and then they dropped it.
I know. I got all these people to watching him, and then they lost in the first round or in the first elimination round of the tournament this weekend. I don't know what's going on. They're staying up too late playing video games. I keep telling them not to do that. Get a good night's sleep, hydrate, and then they show up, and I don't know what's going on with them. But our Blazers down in Summer League, our Summer League Blazers are looking good. I can be found. I'm going to take us out of here. I can be found at TCB Biggs on Twitter. Dan, why don't you finish up?
Oh, so I'm taking us out of here. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tara. You can find me on Twitter at DMarang, at DMARANG, on Blazers Outsiders on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. all summer long. Just a quick shout out and thank you to everybody that came out to the Portland Pickles Dill City Blazers crossover night, Thursday night. Tara, you were there. It was a really cool time. I got the chance to talk to a few people there. It was 100 degrees in the field, and it was really hot, and I was sweating profusely on TV. So, but it was really cool because I got the chance to throw out the first pitch, and I actually made it over the plate without making a fool of myself. So that was the highlight of that day for me. We've got some other cool stuff planned coming forward for the rest of the summer, and then going into the year. Can't reveal it yet, but really hope to see you guys around for those things when I do announce them. Quick reminder for the podcast, make sure you download, like, subscribe, rate, review, undo it all, do it again, take advantage of the system because that's how we do things here. For Terrebonne Biggs, I'm Dan Marang. We'll catch everybody next week. Remember, you can find us on iTunes, on Stitcher, Almighty Baller Radio Podcast Network, anywhere else for your podcast needs. We'll go ahead and catch you next time, folks. Take care.
Okay. I'm so excited that you're feeling good about at least the Summer League guys.